So we've got 4 new updates on the Galaxy S25 Edge that make it a better phone than we initially thought. Let's get into it. What's up guys, Sal here. So first up, let's talk about weight. The biggest selling point of the S25 Edge is its slim profile, but that's not the only thing. It's also going to be impressively light for its size. At the Unpacked event, Samsung compared the S25 Edge to the S24 Plus to highlight its thinness. That suggests the S25 Edge will have a screen size of around 6.7 inches, which has been rumored for a while now. But what's surprising is the weight. Despite its large display, the S25 Edge will reportedly weigh under 160 grams. According to Isoniverse, it will actually be lighter than the base S25, which comes in at 162 grams with a much smaller 6.2-inch display. Now, if we compare this to the S25 Plus, which has a similar 6.7-inch screen, we're looking at a weight difference of at least 30 grams. That's a huge drop and honestly pretty impressive. But of course, there's a reason for it. The S25 Edge will have a 3900 mAh battery. And yeah, that's smaller than even the base S25, which has a 4000 mAh battery. Given that battery weight makes up a significant portion of a modern phone, this cut helps bring the weight down. But it's not just about the battery, the phone's overall thinness also plays a role. Initially, OnLeak shared renders of what the S25 Edge would look like, but as it turns out, that wasn't accurate. He recently explained why, revealing that Samsung was actually testing 2 different prototypes. One had a triple camera layout we originally saw, while the other was something completely different, the one Samsung ultimately decided to launch. The second prototype focused entirely on being ultra thin, even at the cost of key features. That's the path Samsung went with. Originally, this version of the S25 Edge was 6.4mm thick, which is already crazy thin. But then Apple rumors started coming out and things took a turn. Reports suggest that iPhone 17 Slim would be under 6mm, possibly around 5.5mm. Suddenly, Samsung's thinnest phone ever wasn't the thinnest anymore. And when thinness is your main selling point, getting beaten by your biggest competitor is not a good look. So what did Samsung do? They doubled down. Instead of settling for 6.4mm, they cut even more features to make the S25 Edge even thinner. The result? They removed the third camera and slimmed the device down to an impressive 5.84mm. Yes, the S25 Edge that we saw at the Unpacked event is just 5.8mm thick. That's absolutely insane for a smartphone. For comparison, here's how it stacks up against the rest of the S25 lineup. Now this does somewhat justify the smaller battery. But here's the thing, Samsung could have gone with silicon carbon battery tech and easily fit a 4500 mAh battery while still maintaining the same thin and lightweight design. But then again, Samsung has had a pretty bad history with batteries, so it makes sense why they're hesitant. They're probably waiting for Apple to jump in first before taking the risk themselves. Now you might have noticed that the camera design looks a bit different from Samsung's usual flagship style, and there's a reason for that. The total thickness of the camera bump is 10mm on the S25 Edge, nearly double the thickness of the phone itself. That could have made the cameras look ridiculously oversized, but Samsung found a clever design trick to make them seem more natural. That oblong section surrounding the cameras is not just for aesthetics, it's actually a visual illusion. By extending the surrounding area, the cameras blend into the phone's body more seamlessly, making the bump look less awkwardly large. It's a simple but effective trick to maintain the ultra-thin design while keeping the cameras somewhat proportional. Speaking of cameras, obviously there's no telephoto lens here, which might disappoint some people. But Samsung will likely use the 200 megapixel main sensor to achieve lossless 3x zoom, so you're still getting a solid camera system overall. As for the launch, rumors suggest it will drop sometime in Q2, likely around April or May. And yes, it's getting a global release. Now, while the S25 Edge is all about thinness, Samsung absolutely smokes Apple in another way with the S25 Ultra. If you haven't seen that video, click right here and I'll see you there.